Welcome back to Dad Space. Happy to be with you. The title of this episode caught your eye, didn't it? How to spot an idiot. It's a little harsh. Well, I wanted to bring this up because in my travels online and in podcasting, I've come across some gurus that are just that, a little harsh, somewhat of an idiot, and they tear people down. And I'm like, you know what? I want to call it out because I think we need more people who lift people up than tear people down. And I know, Dave, you're tearing people down right now, but I just want to shine a light on what's happening in this world. And I want to just put out there that maybe we need to put our radar up. And could you spot an idiot? Really? It's the lost art of recognizing toxic behavior. I just want to bring it up with you today and see, can you recognize toxic behavior in your world? Maybe you should look around. And hopefully we're not talking about you in this. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being part of the Dad Space family and coming back again to another episode. It's episode 164. Like, we're just chugging away here, right? It's really fun. I love to watch dad stuff on TikTok, and I get lots of stuff shown to me because I'm signed in as my TikTok account as Dad Space, and it shows me a lot of dad stuff. It shows me a lot of motivational talks, and there was a clip that I'm going to share with you here in a sec from a graduation ceremony, and the person speaking starts off with how to spot an idiot. And I'm like, oh, that caught my attention. So I listened through all the way through, and I want to bring out some of the key points from this talk that I'm going to play for you here in a second. And I want to break it down a little bit more and kind of go into a little bit more depth on this so that we can kind of plan out how we're going to approach who we are in this world and how we show up and who to be close to and who we need to put some distance between us and them, because it's having a negative impact on us and it's showing up in other places when this negative impact displays itself. So I think we need to create a little bit of distance from people who could be defined as an idiot. Okay? So I'm calling them out, and I just want you to be healthy in your relationships, and I want you to be healthy mentally and how you show up in this world. So, how to spot an idiot on Dad Space. Here we go.
What is the most inspiring thing I ever said to you?
Don't be an idiot. Changed my life. Whenever I'm about to do something, I think, would an idiot do that? And if they would, I do not do that thing.
So here's the clip from what I found on TikTok that was shown to me or offered up to me to watch. And again, I thought I'd just share it with you here. I'll have a link to it in the show notes. As always, you can go watch it yourself and see this graduation speech happening in real time. So yeah, I'll have a link for you as well to go check it out. But I want you to listen very carefully to what's being said. And we're going to come back and talk about it a little bit more. So here's the clip, and I'll meet you on the other side.
The best way to spot an idiot: look for the person who is cruel. Let me explain. When we see someone who doesn't look like us, or sound like us, or act like us, or love like us, or live like us, the first thought that crosses almost everyone's brain is rooted in either fear or judgment, or both. That's evolution. We survived as a species by being suspicious of things that we aren't familiar with. In order to be kind, we have to shut down that animal instinct and force our brain to travel a different pathway. Empathy and compassion are evolved states of being. They require the mental capacity to step past our most primal urges. This may be a surprising assessment because somewhere along the way in the last few years, our society has come to believe that weaponized cruelty is part of some well-thought-out master plan. Cruelty is seen by some as an adroit cudgel to gain power. Empathy and kindness are considered weak. Many important people look at the vulnerable only as rungs on a ladder to the top. I'm here to tell you that when someone's path through this world is marked with acts of cruelty, they have failed the first test of an advanced society. They never forced their animal brain to evolve past its first instinct. They never forged new mental pathways to overcome their own instinctual fears. And so, their thinking and problem solving will lack the imagination and creativity that the kindest people have in spades. Over my many years in politics and business, I have found one thing to be universally true. The kindest person in the room is often the smartest.
So, as dads, we often find ourselves navigating some pretty complex social dynamics in life and trying to set a good example for our families. One crucial aspect of this is recognizing and avoiding individuals who consistently, keyword, consistently exhibit negative behavior. We all have bad days. We all let it slip. I've done it many times. But I'm talking about the consistency of how they show up in the world. There's people coming to your mind right now. You're thinking about, you're like, oh, that's Stan. That's Bob. That's Robert. Right? There's somebody who's coming to mind as you think of the consistency of exhibiting negative behavior. And not just in general terms, but negative behavior targeted towards others. So I wanted to kind of talk today about how you can identify those who might not be good for you in life and for your family, and why it's important for you to surround yourself with people who uplift you and support you. So first off, how do you identify negative influences in your world? The first one, how people are treated. The treatment of others. It's interesting. I work in the podcast space, and I love podcasting. I love it because it's open. I love it because anyone really can do this. It doesn't take a lot of gear or equipment or knowledge. You don't have to go to school for this. You don't need a degree. You don't have to be certified as a podcaster to jump on the mic and record your thoughts and put it out in the world. It's great. I don't have a boss who tells me what I can and cannot say on Dad Space. It's me. What I'm finding in the podcast space, though, is there are some people who, for whatever reason, feel that they own the conversation. They own the platforms. They own podcasting. And sometimes they can be quite cruel and very disrespectful of others, especially if they don't agree with that other person. They tear people down. And what's interesting is these same people are also then put up on a stage. They're also promoted as the voice in podcasting or the voice on a topic in podcasting. People buy their books. People have them speak at their events. And at the same time, this same person who's celebrated can be quite cruel and disrespectful to others. And I don't understand why people can't figure out the connection. It's like they're totally disassociated from their persona as a podcaster and who they are as a human. This whole thing around cruelty and disrespect, it often reveals a real lack of empathy and a lack of character. And this behavior can be a real red flag. So you can identify a negative influence by how they treat others through cruelty and disrespect. How do they treat others? They even talk to themselves in cruel terms and disrespect. But there's also the negative talk that these idiots, we'll call them idiots because that's the title of the show, these idiots have. This negative talk, those who frequently speak negatively about others often do so out of an insecurity or a lack of self-awareness. Their filter is off. Kind of a light switch. You know, when you walk in the room and it's dark, you can turn the light on and the lights come on and you can turn it back off again. Their light switch is broken. And this habit can create a toxic environment and reflect poorly on their character. Another part of this under identifying negative influences, we talked about treatment of others, but the second part is impact on your life. There's an emotional drain that happens when you spend time with people who are consistently bringing down others or you or themselves, and makes you feel bad about yourself. And it can actually be emotionally draining for you when you drive out of their driveway to go home, or You drop them off at their door and they get out of the vehicle. You just feel empty. Like you just feel so drained. It's important to recognize when people are affecting your mental health negatively and going back to what we said earlier in a consistent manner. Again, you're going to have times where you're going to have to be there for somebody and it's a short-term, one-off situation. That's one thing. But a consistently recurring pattern of negativity is something totally different. So are you feeling emotionally drained? Like, are you feeling like that person in your life that just saps you of all your strength? It's kind of the kryptonite for Superman. You know what I mean? Like, you're different around them and you're exhausted. The other part of this is the influence on behavior. The company you keep can actually influence your behavior and your outlook. You are the sum of the 5 people around you. You've heard that before. You hang around with people who do a certain thing, you might likely become the person who does the thing. It's just how it happens. Surrounding yourself with positive and more supportive people can actually encourage you to be your best self. It can counterbalance that. So we identify the negative influences, how people treat others, and the impact that they have on your life. What's the next part? We need to surround yourself with positive influences. So how do we do that? The first step, building a supportive network. We got to seek out positivity. In a world that's really negative, between the news, social media, likes, follows, trolls, people who just speak ill of others, we need to seek out positivity. We need to look for people who uplift and support you and who treat others with kindness and respect. Trust me, they'll stand out in this world. These individuals can provide a positive influence and help you grow as a person. The other thing we need is mutual respect. Even when we differ. Right now, there's so much going on politically in our world. I know our American friends have their own things going on here in Canada. We have our own things going on. It's not something that's unique to one specific country. We need mutual respect. We need to cultivate relationships where there is mutual respect and understanding for differences of opinions, different views, different outlooks. This can actually create a strong foundation for meaningful connections. So tell me about your supportive network. What do you got? Who's in your network that builds you up? Not the negative people that tear you down and make you feel drained and empty at the end of the day. Who is part of your supportive network? Do you have anybody? Do you? The next part is we need to set some boundaries. We need to put a limit on the negative interactions that we have in our day-to-day. You know, Stan at work, who never says anything nice about anybody. Yeah, Stan. You need to put a limit on Stan. What about George, who complains about his boss every time he talks? It's always the boss. Put a limit on him. If somebody consistently, again, back with the word consistently brings negativity into your life, it may be necessary for you to limit your interactions with them. You need to prioritize your own well-being and that of your family. Again, you'll hear this so many times. The oxygen mask drops in the plane. Your instructions are to put on the mask first before you help anybody else. So when you're around negative people, you need to grab your own oxygen mask and take care of you first before you even attempt at making an approach to help somebody else who's really negative. Prioritize your own well-being first. Grab your oxygen mask and then proceed. And we also, around setting boundaries, we need to encourage positive conversations. When engaging with others, try to steer conversations towards more positive topics so that consistently negative person who sits across from you at lunch break, try to steer the conversation to something more positive. This can help create a more uplifting environment. And sometimes these idiots, again, the title of the episode, these idiots have no idea that they're bringing the room down. They have no internal clock or identifier that tells them they're bringing the room down. They're oblivious, but you're not. So change the course of the conversation and encourage positive conversations. The other part around this, around surrounding yourself with positive influences, for you to lead by example, for you to model good behavior. As dads, we set the tone and the example for our kids. By treating others with kindness and respect, we are demonstrating to our kids the importance of showing empathy and compassion. We teach empathy by our actions. Encourage your kids to consider how their actions affect others. And be the demonstration of that to your kids on how you treat others. You know, when you're upset, pissed off because somebody cut you off, or took your parking spot, or cut in front of you at the gas station, or cut in front of you in line, or slow walkers when you're in a hurry. You need to model good behavior. And you need to teach empathy. You need to help your kids to develop strong moral values to build positive relationships in life and to avoid the negative people that bring them down, to avoid the idiots. So first of all, I want you to call out the idiots in your life and come up with a plan. Enough giving them the platform in your life, enough giving them all of your time and attention. Stop letting them drag you down into their hole, into their negativity, into their world of hate and cruelty and tearing others down. There was a person that I worked with for a long time, and everybody walked on eggshells around this person because they controlled the environment. If they came into work and punched in, the whole place got quiet. Everybody was walking on eggshells around them, trying to navigate through the shift. I just got to make it through the shift because so-and-so's here tonight. And that feeling of someone taking all of the power, sucking it out of the room. And I remember people complaining to me saying that they felt so like they had no power in the situation. They felt like they're so helpless. And I remember saying to them, the only power that this person has over you is the power that you're giving to them. The fact that you are afraid of them, the fact that you won't take a stand, the fact that you won't change the narrative, you're feeding them, and they're feeding off of that. We need to recognize and avoid negative influence. It's crucial for maintaining a healthy and supportive environment for ourselves and for our families. By focusing on how others treat those around them and how they treat themselves and how they treat you, we can make more informed decisions about who we want in our lives. By surrounding ourselves with people who uplift and support us, not only benefits our personal well-being and mental health, but also sets a positive example for our kids and our family. So who's getting you down? Who is the idiot that you are going to come into contact this week? Who is that one person that controls the narrative, that strips you of all of your energy, leaves you exhausted and drained? Someone who tears down other people, someone who has no filter. They can't read the room. They don't understand the impact of their comments. They don't understand that they're being socially awkward and they're turning people away from them. They're completely oblivious to what's coming out of their mouth and how they treat people. They have no idea about what's being said behind their back because they're so full of themselves that they're the best thing since sliced bread. Nobody compares to them. But you see it and you're like, oh my gosh, if they only knew how much people around here can't stand them because how they treat people. You can be that positive influence on that person and chip away some of the things that are their hindrance, their Achilles heel, and be a great demonstration to them on how to treat people right. And maybe it's you. Maybe you're the idiot. And again, that sounds harsh, but maybe it's you. Maybe it's time to ask. I listened to this podcast with some guy named Dave called Dad Space, and I think he called me an idiot. And let them listen to this and then go, is this me? Like, am I doing these things? To some degree, more or less, is this what I'm doing? It might be. And a mature guy, a mature dad, will look himself in the mirror and go, it's time to change. If I'm treating others like this, how am I treating my partner? How am I treating my kids? If you're the idiot, then I need you to make a change. So I'm calling out to you, in love, to drop the idiot status and realize that your actions have an impact beyond your world. And it's time to make a change. So don't be an idiot. Be better. And if you have questions about this, you're like, man, I'd kind of like to talk to somebody about this. I'm not a professional. I don't have like a coaching program or anything, but if you just want to talk to a fellow dad, I can give you examples where I was the idiot. And I know I was. In the moment, I didn't know I was the idiot, but looking backward, I can see now that I was the idiot. I was the person who didn't do these things that I'm talking about today. So I'm not coming to you as some guy just reading to you from a book. I'm coming to you telling you, I was the idiot. I did the thing. And I've come to the conclusion that I needed to make a change. So it's not weakness to identify areas where you can improve. It's strength. The weak people are the ones who think they have no shortcomings. The weak people are the ones who feel like they're doing everything great. Everyone loves me. I'm awesome. That's not strength. That's weakness. To be reflective, to understand who you are, to be sober in your decisions and your opinion of yourself, to deflate your ego enough to take criticism and suggestions from others who know and love you best. That's where strength comes from. And if you're struggling in this area and you just want to chat, reach out to me at dadspace.ca. Let's have a conversation. I'd love to hear from you. We can do it over SpeakPipe, back and forth. We can jump on Zoom, whatever you like. dadspace.ca. I'd love to help you. We need a few less idiots in this world and a few more people who care about people, who put people first, who don't tear down, but build people up. And they're all about making community better. And that's what this show's about. That's why I do Dad Space. Because I want you and I to be a better human for us, for our kids, for our community, for our partner. And it starts with you. So don't be an idiot this week, and don't hang around with idiots this week. Make a better choice. Okay? And come back here for the next episode. I'd love to have you back. Thanks for listening. Hey, thanks for listening to Dad Space. Thanks for hanging out to the end of the podcast. That's a great sign to wherever you're listening to this podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, fill in the blank, that this was a good podcast to send people to. So simply by listening to this point of the podcast, you're helping the show grow. So good on you. Thanks for helping us grow Dad Space. If you want to help us fill our cups over at Dad Space, head over to dadspace.ca. Dadspace.ca, simple website, right? Dadspace.ca. You can fill up our coffee cup, which helps us then to keep moving forward with the podcast, and use our Buy Me a Coffee link over at dadspace.ca. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for coming back. And thank you for sharing. Because the more people, more dads we can help, the better. We're all here to help each other grow in community. That's what it's all about. And without you, podcast is pointless. There's no reason to do any of this. So you being here means everything. See you at dadspace.ca. Take care.